Thank you very much for having me. My name is Choul Laam. I'm a board member of our National Oil and Gas Corporation, which is Nile Petroleum Corporation. The opportunities in South Sudan in terms of mining sector, Nilepet, which is the National Oil and Gas Corporation, have established a subsidiary that focusing in mining. At the same time, it complements the Ministry of Mining initiative of trying to create its own national mining company. And in regards of that, NALPIT saw an opportunity to actually, because of its network and its relationship with external parties, so that it could develop itself now into a national mining company. But the opportunities in this particular sector are very great. South Sudan sits in a very strategic location considering all the neighboring countries. If you look at Sudan, Sudan exports about 3 billion US dollar worth of gold. Central African Republic, Congo, Ethiopia, Kenya. All of these countries currently are producing and mining. And therefore, South Sudan is not different from all of these countries in the sense that it is a very green in terms of the mining sector. There has been a lot of research, historical research, that were done by colonial powers. And these research, like the Huntington Report, were very positive and very promising. If you look also on the geological area of South Sudan, it shares a lot of the same mineral mines, I would say, the geological terrain, if I may, as Congo. So if we look at Congo and you see all the opportunities and minerals that Congo has, I believe, considering the research that was done by colonial powers, that South Sudan definitely has a lot of opportunities when it comes down to minerals. Currently, gold is being extracted from South Sudan, but in an artisanal way. And therefore, during the rainy season, there's a lot of activities. But if the individuals who are doing it in very remote areas within South Sudan are given the right equipment and are taught how to do it correctly, I believe that South Sudan will produce more than what it is now. Currently, it's about maybe 30 to 40 kilos goes every month in terms of small nuggets that are sent abroad to be sold. So there is a lot of opportunities in South Sudan, and considering the fact that South Sudan is completely untapped, okay, we would encourage a lot of investors to come into this area and come and explore. The government and the Ministry of Mining will give all the support they can. They can show you some of the areas where the activities are currently taking place. But, South Sudan is the youngest country in the world. It gained independence in 2011, and it is about 13 years old currently. Also, historical aspect of South Sudan is the fact that we fought the longest civil war in Africa, over 50 years. That allowed, it created a lot of challenges currently in terms of development. Of course, when you have war instability, you would have a situation where development doesn't take place. And therefore, the small challenges that we might have currently in South Sudan is maybe road network, that the country is not well connected. So some of these areas that might have a lot of opportunities, the challenge would be accessing these areas. But the government is working very hard to see what to do. When we first came after the peace agreement was signed with Sudan in 2005, there was less than 20 kilometers of paved road in the whole entire country. That is the size of France. And therefore now the government is working to connect the people to some of these opportunities. Development is going very well. And then other challenge that I could say is lack of electricity, for instance. So, the people that have the opportunity to come and build such infrastructure, they'll be welcome very much in South Sudan to be able to allow the country to take advantage of the natural resources it have currently. So there is a lot of wrong narrative that is being stated about South Sudan: instability, political instability, insecurity, and such. But to be honest, uh, a country that came from a long civil war, a country that has a lot to be discovered, I think some of these challenges can be amended. Let me give you a very interesting fact. In 1997, when we first extracted our oil, it was in the heights of the war, of the civil war between the North and the South. And there was a contingent that was put in some of these oil blocks that protected the interests of the Sudanese at the time. Okay, so majority, about 75 to 80% of Sudan's oil is located in South Sudan. This is prior to independence. But that didn't hinder development. There was still extraction taking place, and it is the same oil fields that were producing in 1997 that we have taken over after independence. So therefore, a lot of these challenges that has been stated by media and the rest are actually untrue. Okay, South Sudan, in the last 5 years, there has been experiencing serious calm and relative peace. There's some small pockets. I'm not going to ignore these small pockets, but they're not hindering development. And therefore, the reason I'm bringing up the oil from 1997 is that the extraction was happening. Okay, the government of Sudan at the time put in the right facilities, and which is the same thing that the government of South Sudan is currently doing, and providing protection for investors, whether it's physical or trying to encourage also investors to come in and given tax breaks, they're allowed to extract. Send their money abroad after investment. We're trying to make South Sudan as attractive as possible to attract these type of investment. And oil and gas sector, we have learned a lot from just this year because of problems in the north of the country that have to do with Sudan fighting itself. Our pipeline that goes through Sudan was affected, and South Sudan did not export in one of the biggest oil fields for 8 to 10 months. That also gave us a way to look internally into South Sudan and see what the government can do. And mining, which is something that could be done, and other facilities, maybe airports can be built around some of these mining areas to allow to facilitate for investors to extract and send whatever they discover in these areas outside of South Sudan. Like I mentioned, Sudan, despite the fact that it's going through its own turmoil and the internal war, they're still extracting. Last year, 2023, Sudan reported about 3 billion worth of gold sold. And the war in Sudan has lasted over a year and a half. So there are some challenges, but also if you look at what the government is trying to do to attract investors, you would see that South Sudan could be one of the biggest opportunities within Africa. The U.S. Geological Survey have stated in a research that South Sudan and Congo have the minerals have not really been extracted in the right way, and South Sudan in particular holds one of the largest deposits of minerals, of critical minerals. And therefore, if you look into that, and considering places like, the historical aspect of the gold rush in California, at the time when people were rushing to California in the late 1800, that there was nobody there. People might say that, yes, there was a lot of insecurity at the time, but a lot of people made a lot of money during that time. The richest people in the United States started from that time. I would think it's a great opportunity to look into South Sudan in depth. We can help, we can receive you, we can show you where people are doing artisanal mining. And, with the help of the former colonial powers, they have data. South Sudan doesn't have data of its own minerals. We have reports And therefore, if we can get some of these data or some of these report in full depth, because after independence of Sudan, majority of these documentation and reports were given to the government of Sudan, which now, after independence of South Sudan in 2011, we've been asking for these reports and we haven't gotten any. So therefore, there is a lot of assistance that the government of South Sudan would like to have, and we'll use these type of opportunities to try to voice out these concerns and look for international help, because mining is the critical minerals are already there. Where South Sudan is situated shows that there could be a lot of potential, and therefore we use this platform to try to voice out, come to South Sudan, come to South Sudan, come to South Sudan. So the key takeaway from this conference, of course, there is a certain narrative that we would like to change, and the narrative of South Sudan is not good for investment is incorrect. South Sudan is very ripe for investment. It's actually one of the best places to come and look at opportunities, because it's already proven that there are a lot of minerals. So a takeaway could be, let's change the narrative, okay? I have mentioned yesterday in my speech that, and I don't want to take any away from the Dutch people, that if you look and research currently the tallest people in the world, you would find that it's stated that it's the Dutch. I would like to change that narrative. I don't think it's true. It's because of there is a lack of information of what's happening in South Sudan, and the narrative that states that we are not, we are not, we are not, we are not is incorrect. We are, we are, we are. Just as a matter of fact, South Sudan in June this year has made one of the biggest discovery in terms of animal migration, large mammals migration. What is known to the world is that Serengeti, which is in Tanzania, one of our neighbors, has the biggest migration in the world. And they stated about 2.6, 2.7 million mammals that move from one area to another area. And this is the largest in the world. African Park, which is a partner of the government of South Sudan, have made a discovery through collaring and through tracking that showed that South Sudan has 6 million. 6 million, let me repeat, that's 3 times as much as Serengeti. 6 million migration of large mammals. And this is just a recent discovery, June, that's less than 4 months ago. So if you look into that, okay, you look into others. South Sudan just, for the first time, for it trying in the Olympics, our national team represented the whole of the continent from the first trial. It participated in Africa. It beat everybody in Africa. It went to the World Cup and it lost to the U.S. by 1 point. That everybody was asking, who are these people? Where are they coming from? What is South Sudan? Where is South Sudan? A country that doesn't even have an indoor basketball gym, but we surprised the world. These are some of the just small highlights to show what South Sudan can offer to the world. And I think, using this type of platforms, we'd like to encourage people to come in. Don't listen to what's being said about South Sudan. I think, I would 100% assure you that South Sudan did not have as many people dying, okay, as developed countries like the United States from violence, from gun violence. U.S. has recorded about 46,000 deaths from gun violence last year. I bet South Sudan didn't even have close to half of that. But that doesn't stop people from going and investing in the United States. So therefore, why hinder that type of development? Why hinder the people from developing? Okay, there is politics, and politics is everywhere. Okay, so one thing that I would like to say is that come to South Sudan, give it a try, come and see the country. We will help you to navigate. We will help you to recoup your investment. We will help you to guide you and show you where these critical minerals are, based on people that are doing mining, artisanal mining in these areas. And just give it a try. I think it will surprise the world.